Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Commodity Insights podcast with the crew at Farmers Trading Company here. After another, I guess, disappointing week in the corn markets, is there any hope here, Vince, that things can turn around or the grains can find a bottom? I know it seems like we've been repeating this tune all year here, and it just doesn't seem like they're giving us much hope fundamentally or with any news out there. And I don't know what can we tell these farmers, or what are your thoughts there?
I think you can always believe something will happen. You do it and it's going to be weather, and I think it's got to come fairly soon on that weather side, or it has to be some other surprise. And yes, we've had flooding in the north that we lost acres. Let's reflect back on last Friday's report of 1.94 million more acres of corn, whatever it was. Stocks 21% higher than they were a year ago. The trade is going to look at it and say, if we got by last year, why would we worry about running out this year? And it's going to take something to shake that up. And again, we lost acres? Yes. Reflecting back on last Friday's report with the numbers that came out and what those projections were for added acres, as of June 1st, there was still, I think, 3.56 million acres of corn that wasn't planted at that time and about 12.5 million acres of beans that hadn't been planted. So yes, we can get some prevent plant. We're going to get drowned up, but we're not going to see those numbers till September or October. So in between time, the trade is going to trade those numbers and say, who cares? The path of least resistance is down. And do I like the prices in here? No, but you're at a time of year that maybe you can wait and hope you get better prices in August or September for your corn, but right now it does not look real likely.
And in those grain markets, Vince, is there you've kind of touched on it a little bit here, but is there any news that is supposed to come out in the next month that could maybe be favorable, or is it pretty much we're done with USDA reports or anything until after harvest?
Typically, the July reports you're going to get in here doesn't do a lot. Do we at times this June report put a bottom in? Yes, so far it has. Whether it holds, as long as we can hold last week's lows, we're probably okay. If we take them out, be a little careful, they could whale on this corn and bean market fairly quickly. Otherwise, maybe you get some rallies, but I don't see a lot more than 15 or 20 cents in that corn, maybe 30 if you're lucky. Bean market, could you be 50, 60, 70? Yes. Again, I don't see a lot more there. You're just not tight enough numbers to get anybody interested at this point, and we have to do something to change the psychology. And what is it that I think would change psychology? When the last guy that's long these markets decides he gets out, then your selling is probably done and you get a few buyers come in and you start to get something, but still not sure it's a runaway.
And on the flip side there with that wheat market, there is some seasonal trends that tend to point up here starting at the beginning of July, Vince. That market seems like it maybe put a bottom in here with corn and beans after the report. Is there more hope that the wheat market could get us going here a little bit, or what are your thoughts with the wheat?
Well, a couple of things you just discussed in there, Connor. Somewhere around early July, there's a seasonal where you buy wheat and sell corn. Second of all, on that one, 1st of July is a voice from the tomb. For people that are familiar with it, it's a day that a trader told his kids, this is what you do to make money. You buy it on the 1st of July, you sell it on the 10th of September. Does it always work? No. But I think that's where part of that nice rally came on Monday, because you haven't seen a lot since that point. As we talked about in the corn, as long as you hold last week's lows, you're okay. If you take them out, you probably have some downside, but I don't think the downside is quite like it is in the corn or the beans.
And looking at more of a healthy market, I guess, on the flip side there, the cattle markets, Vince, it seems like those live cattle, they've been pushing pretty hard here to start the week, and the feeders have really been pulling them along too. There's some reports out of the Cargill plant down in Dodge City having a roof collapse and other news, but overall, that cattle market seems to not care. They just keep wanting to go higher. Should a guy be getting nervous here and putting some hedges on, or what are your thoughts there? Are we going to run out of steam, or is it just full steam ahead as long as corn keeps getting cheaper?
Corn's going to make some difference in here, but I think so much of it, Connor, is that August contract. We lost June last week. August is discount. it's trying to catch up to where cash is at, even though you're not in August yet, it'd have to be right there. But the real question is, can we get that box beef and that choice side to get over 330 and make some further appreciation? That in that area was last year's high. We're a couple of weeks past the time frame when you usually top that box beef market. You're past the 4th of July where peak demand should be over. How much further can we push it? I don't know. You know, we can still look at lesser numbers out there in the slaughter, but let's not forget about the weights, and I won't go into that story. We've discussed that before.
Mm-hmm. And so on the flip side of the cattle market being hot, is the hog market being down towards the bottom of its trading range, I guess, in recent history? Is that going to hurt the cattle market with cheap pork, or do you think that consumer cares that much, or what are your thoughts too with the hog market?
You know, the consumer, I think as prices get higher, are always going to look for alternatives, but they still like beef. Um, Pork is there, not quite as favorable in my estimation as it was 15 or 20 years ago when you had a bit more flavor to the loins. Bacon, you know, is still a big competitor, but that's the market that's really holding down the corn, the hogs in here. And you got to believe that's from lack of demand from the fast food industry. Is that because their business is dropping off, or they're trying to cheapen up their prices by not putting bacon on? I don't know. Also, this is BLT season, which you're not getting a lot of push or getting a lot of what you're hearing from. But the big key in that hog is still if you can get that bacon market to come around, you get some rallies. Otherwise, sideways is here. Can you go lower? You can, but if they would break out below the last couple weeks lows, I don't think the downside is quite as extensive as it could be in the beef market.
One last question, I guess, Vince, overall with the egg commodities and the way they are and as volatile as they are and kind of down in the dumps as the grain markets are and the adverse weather we've had, it's hard to stay positive, I guess. Is there one positive note you can take away from any of these markets, or things that you could say positively to help the producers out, something they can look towards?
I think, you know, I'm not sure if it's going to be a positive comment, but sometimes as we look at these markets and put yourself back a month or 2 or 3 months ago, and you're looking at the market, you're not liking what you're seeing. But the first time in your conversation, whether it be with your wife, your family, somebody at the coffee shop, and you say, I hope corn goes higher so I can sell our beans. The first time you put hope into that vocabulary, sell it, because it's probably just going to go lower. You know, and it's a hard one to do, but it's a great barometer to use, I think, to help you make those decisions in tough times. And we can say the same thing now. I hope corn goes higher. And I do too. But if we start taking out last week's lows, be a little careful in the slide that you might get.
Mhm. And I think that's going to do it for this week's podcast then. If we could be of any further assistance to you, check out the website, farmerstradingco.com, for more information, or give us a call at the office. Our number is 605-996-6500. Thank you.